was our next best alternative. And in some ways, it's even nicer than being in the regular classroom. Tonight, I'm going to introduce to you Lillian Fasthorse, who's one of the nicest people I've met in a long time. Lillian and I had a nice day today. I drove up to Lance and picked her up, and we had a chance to talk all the way back to Marquette. And we had a cup of tea at my house. Lillian had lots of stories to talk about, lots of things I found that were interesting about going to a mission school on the reservation, not being able to speak English in the school, and some of her experiences. And we talked about the format to the program, and we're going to leave it really informal. Lillian said she had some stories she wanted to start out with. She brought some things to show you, things that she's made, and then we're just going to have questions and answers. But to give you a little bit of background first, I want to tell you that Lillian is the daughter of Mary Wonbull, who is the daughter of Lady Goodfeather, which I learned to say today in Sioux, but I don't think I'm going to try it in front of the class. And Lady Goodfeather is the eldest sister of Sitting Bull. In an Indian kinship, in Sioux kinship, that makes Lillian Sitting Bull's granddaughter. Not only that, but she has a nephew, who some of you have probably read some of his books, Vine Deloria. He wrote Custer Died for Your Sins. We Talk, You Listen, and one more, Lillian, what is it?
God is Red.
God is Red. So some of you maybe have read some of his books. So Lillian comes to us from a very famous family, and not only that, but her husband's on the tribal council out in the Standing Rock Reservation. And not only is he on the tribal council, but he's the oldest member of the council, which makes him very important for decision making. So Lillian's here. She's being a women's liver. She came alone, and she left her husband back because he has to work on the council. So he's back in Standing Rock on the reservation where they live. And Lillian's visiting her sister-in-law and her family here in Lance. And she was nice enough to come talk to us. So I think we'll start just by letting Lillian tell you some of the things she has to say. It's going to be informal, so ask questions when you have something you want to add to the conversation.
In our tradition, before we talk to a group of people, we ask the Great Spirit to guide us. So I'm going to say just a short prayer. In my language, Jesus. I'll translate that into English. Great Spirit, help me to talk this evening to a group of people. Give me understanding that I may talk the way you want me to talk. Forgive my many mistakes and sins. Have mercy on me. In Jesus' name, amen. Start with my life history. I'm a full-blood Sioux Indian from the Standing Rock Indian Reservation in North Dakota. That's the central part of North Dakota on the west side of the, it used to be called Missouri River. Now it's Oahe Reservoir, since they made that Oahe Dam in South Dakota and backwatered way up north, and they call it Oahe Reservoir now. And I was born in South Dakota, Buckmaster, South Dakota. And we lived in a log house, two-room log house. And when we were 7 years old, they take us to this Episcopal Indian mission school near Wakpala. And we want to take us there in September. And school is out the last part of June. Well, when I first went to school, I didn't know a word of English. So several of us new students that went there, we didn't know a word of English, so We didn't know what to do, sort of huddled together here and there. And the older girls used to interpret for us and tell us what the girls' matron said. So we do according to what was told us. And of course we couldn't speak English too well, so we used to sit someplace and we whisper to each other in our language, Sioux language, and this girls' matron would punish us by putting soap on our tongues. And that way we don't talk for a while. Well, as we grew up, in my case, we go to school half a day and work half a day. So when I was 14 years old, I realized I was in the 4th grade. See how slow it was for us to learn the English first, and then we had to write, and then just any other nationality would do, I guess. And the first time I learned how to read, I saw a long word in there, but the teacher taught us how to make sounds in the alphabet, and the C, she said, told us to pronounce k, k. So I looked at a word there. I looked at it hard and started with a C. So I said, Kenata, and that's Cincinnati. Then again I read. I would have to stand up and read. A word. It started with I-S. I looked at it hard. Island, I said. And that was island. See, they didn't exactly teach us too well, I guess. Because when we are 18 years old, the government didn't care whether we go on to school or not. So some of us go as far as the 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, and we're 18. We quit school. We don't go to school anymore. Then from there on, the government didn't push us that much. And then after a while, well, in this mission school, my father was an Episcopalian minister, and somehow I didn't know I was going to be sent to Episcopal church school out of the reservation in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then I was chosen one of the girls to go there. So I went over there. By that time I was 14 years old, and I was in the 4th grade. So when I went to that school, well, it was rather hard for me to attend that school. But it was mostly white girls that go to school there. First day, I didn't go down to eat because I was bashful and didn't talk English fast enough to make them understand. So I stayed in my room for 2 days without eating. Finally, they took me down to the dining room where I met all these white girls, and then I got acquainted, and they used to call me Sister Sioux. And from there on, kind of got into outside life. mm, off the reservation. And long time ago, when an Indian wants to shoot a deer, we had to get permit to shoot deers in the fall. But later on, somehow, I don't know how the government decided, but on the reservation, we could shoot a deer anytime. And then we couldn't go out of the reservation unless we had a permit. They asked us how many days we were going to be off the reservation. And we have to come back at that certain time. And well, that's how we live on the reservation. And lately, in the 60s, we went to Bismarck, that's our state capital, and my grandchildren wanted to go to the zoo there. So we went there. I looked at all the animals and I said, poor things. It's just like us. We don't have freedom. I said, they caged us in on the reservation, and these animals are caged up. I said, no more freedom for us. I said, then we went to where they had some buffaloes. And there was a female buffalo. She's eating. Well, there's a fence there. Stood on this side. My husband gathered some green grass because it was so bare in that where they were keeping them. He gathered green grass and he threw it in there. And here this buffalo looked up, looked at us, and she started to eat the green grass. So I talked to her. I said, in my Indian language, I said, cousin, I said, you and I were free one time. I said, we roamed this country so freely. Now, I said, you're caged up in here. I said, and I'm caged up on a reservation. I said, seems like we don't have freedom anymore. I said. And here, she looked up at me, and then again she started eating. I went back in the car, just facing that animal. And a white man with 2 sons, they came. They stood where we were standing. They stood there, and this buffalo, she was eating. She looked up and looked at this man and his children. Then she moved backwards and started to come after them. Just hit that fence hard. So this white man and his boys, come on, he said. She's a mean buffalo, he said. They took off. Well, that's how things are. And the first astronauts that landed on the moon, there was a little hill there. I don't know whether some of you heard this story, but there was a little hill there. And here an Indian peeked over that hill and said, oh no, not again. Well, was there any questions you'd like to ask me about our reservations? Or? Oh, on the North Dakota side, there's a county. They call it Sioux County. That's all of reservation. It's quite big. There, on that, and then part of it is in South Dakota, the Standing Rock Reservation. So altogether, there's over 6,000 of us in Sioux Indians there. Not too crowded.
Is there much anger on the reservation? The way you talk about you don't have the freedom? Do you feel that way?
Yes, you see, the government sent out troops long before I was born and wiped out Indian villages. For no cause, they shoot most of them down and gather all their teepees and burn them. And that's how come they got us scared. So even now, my age, we're kind of scared that something will happen to us. But this present generation, it's just like you white people. They don't care. They all talk English. They don't talk their language. So they're just, they don't care what comes. We tell them. We say, like my granddaughter said, in my days, I said, I lived like this, and I told her. And I didn't want a man to come near me, I said. I had nothing to do with them, I said. And I respect myself, I said. You should live that way. And my granddaughter said, Grandma, this is modern time. That was your time, she said. So I guess it's the same way with all nationality in the United States. They live the modern time. They don't respect the time that has passed.
If you're in the back and you have a question, would you stand up and say it very loudly, please?
Well, there were some programs put out by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they call this vocational training, where they sent the families out in cities, train them, and then they start in looking for jobs. Some find jobs, and some don't find it. So they come right back to the reservation. And then they keep doing that. So finally, they have put out programs on the reservation so where the young ones could have jobs and stay on the reservation. Is that your answer?
I wanted to ask a question about, I guess it would be about concerning living in a teepee, or about the power that you believe that the people believe in the circle, the power of the circle. Can you explain a little something about that?
Yeah. When I was born in a log house, but what my father and mother, and my grandmother was leaving, they told us that the reason why their teepee is round, that is to keep everybody, their bands all together. And then there's one religion that the Indians have, is that they pray to the Great Spirit, no matter where they are. The older Indians, I heard them say, the Great Spirit is everywhere. That's why we pray wherever we are. Is that your answer? Yeah.
You talk about the Great Spirit, and you said that it's in all the Indian people. Is that in all the Indian tribes, even though there might be different religions or something? Is it the same Great Spirit in
all American Indians realize that there's a great spirit, but then they have different society. They have different society that they worship.
Are there other questions?
What do you think will happen to you in the future? Like, do you think that you will just maybe be absorbed into the United States, or do you think that, I don't know, the people will go on living on the reservation?
That's the way we think, because if we go off the reservation, the white people don't want us. So that's the only place we feel free to live on a reservation, where we know each other. But with me, here I am with all of you sitting here and talking. Some of them, maybe some of you don't even see an Indian. Or do some of you see Indians?
Are you passing down all of your crafts that are so beautiful to your children that this can be carried on?
Yes. In like my mother, when I was about 5 years old, she taught me how to do beadwork with sinew. And from there on, I started to learn. She made me make a pair of moccasins to give to a friend. And that's how come I learned all those, to learn how to tan deer hide. I never tan a cowhide, but a deer hide I tan. And no, I pass it on to my grandchildren. So the little boy knows how to do loom work with beads. He made a wristlet that he brought along. And my other grandchildren, I taught them how to do loom work, to make their own designs. Then I was an instructor in 1963 on the reservation on the North Dakota side, where I taught young women how to do beadwork and to tan deer hide and treat cowhide where they could be used for moccasin soles.
According to the Society for Indian People, is there any middle class and upper class or lower class in the Indian people during the old generation?
Yeah, there is. There's the chief, and then the middle class, and there's the poor class, just like any nationality. No, he was assassinated before I was born. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was assassinated 1890, I think. And I was born 1900. That's the way it's written, 1900.
Maybe you could tell us how a person used to become a chief in Indian society. Do you remember stories about how people became a leader among the Sioux?
The people look for a family, and then these are not just anybody, but they're always, among the Sioux Indians, there's always 12 councilmen that make decisions in their bands. You see, Sioux Indian, the Sioux tribe is a nation, a big nation around. In that circle, there's bands, different bands. They call them Hunkpapa, that's where Sitting Bull comes from. And then Minikuju, that's, well, in English you'd say plant by the creek, by the water. And then the Blackfeet, it's not the Blackfeet in Montana, but it's a Sioux group, a band. And then there's the Burn Thighs, and then the Oglala people, and the Lower Bruley people, and then the Crow Creek people, and the Santee Sioux. They're all grouped like that. And well, one band in the Sioux circle, one band would choose this man, 12 consuls they call them. They decide, they talk, they find one man that's worthy to be a chief, and they choose him. That's the way they choose their chiefs. Like you white people choose your president, people's power. They get on the, it's the same way with the chief.
What kinds of characteristics are considered good characteristics for a chief?
You have to be a man, brave, understanding, wise, counselor. No, I don't know him. Personally, I don't know him. But I have read about him. He's a Nez Perce tribe.
Any questions?
I have, all my children have passed away. Just one boy grew up, and he went in the Second World War and came out as a disabled veteran. But he got married and had 8 children, 6 boys and 2 girls. And that's the baby over there. So I don't have any children living of my own.
But do your great-grandchildren live with you?
Yeah. They live close to us. We all of us Indians live close to each other. It seems like something's going to happen, so we all look out for each other. Oh yeah, they live. The mother and father always lived together, the Indian people. But after a while, when white men's laws came and started their divorce cases, that's when some of them separated. But before that, nobody ever separated. So the children are always together.
How old were you when you were married?
23. And still, I thought that was too young.
Is that the average age that most young
Yeah.
girls are married?
Yeah. In my days, our parents were the ones that decide, We don't just go ahead and we obey our parents in those days, just like in other people that.
Did your parents choose your husband?
My mother died when I was 12 years old, so we lived with our father. And my present husband always come to visit me, and he approved of it.
Do you think that the American Indian movement is going to have much of an impact on younger generations to keep the Indian custom?
Indian movement.
The American Indian movement.
Oh. We, on the Standing Rock Reservation, we don't want them there. They're welcome to come visit, but not to cause any trouble there. I don't know where they came up from. The people on Standing Rock. There are members there, but not too many of them. Finally, what was going on with Russell Mintz and that other one, Dennis Banks, was people. What happened? Well, there were some members on the Standing Rock, but they quit because they're going the wrong way. You see, like us Sioux people, if we want to go and talk to our president, we go in humble spirit. But they didn't do that. They made a mess of it, put a bad mark on the Indians. Maybe some of their reasons might be good, but like the rest, the average, don't look good. They caused a little trouble on the Standing Rock by attacking one of our Indian police, Russell Mintz.
Is the police force on the reservation, is it independent of the state police force or the county sheriff? Do you have your own police structure on the reservation?
Yes, they do.
Do you have all white man's laws, or do you have also some Indian laws that are incorporated into it?
Yes, they go to school. They go to school for that.
But I mean, things that that you would get in trouble with the police, maybe in white society, are you also subjected to all the same laws on the reservation? Or
Oh,
do
yeah, sure. We try, the white man wants us to live their ways, well, might as well go along with them, have all the laws on the reservation.
Are there any white people on the reservation?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of them on the reservation. Indian women marrying white men, or an Indian man. There is a law that if an Indian man marries a white girl, she becomes an Indian. It's in this Washington, D.C., where there's a book there. But if an Indian woman marries a white man, she goes under that name. So there's, but long time ago, when those older, like my grandfather, their age, when an Indian woman marries a white man, well, this other man, and they say, oh, she's an Indian, she's beautiful, we'll take her children. That's how come they're enrolled on the reservation. That's how they, think of their Indian woman. But on the man's side, the woman becomes a white woman becomes an Indian. She has all the rights on the reservation. She goes to the hospital. When she gets sick, you don't have to pay for it.
Can you tell us some of your fondest memories or customs of things that happened when you were a child, things that you can remember that were very important to you?
Well, there were a lot of them. My mother comes from, just like a higher family. And every birthday, she puts on a feast for us. Like my birthday, she put on a feast. She made a teepee out of cowhide, because that time there was no buffalo. So she saved cowhides. She saved 8 cowhides. She made a teepee out of it. And she had an Indian man draw a picture on it. And when my birthday came, she made a feast for me. And then again, when my brother's birthday came, just 2 of us grew up. She made a feast for my brother. My brother's Indian name is Sitting Bull Boy. And my Indian name is Wiyaki Pampu, means call for a woman. Where, like sick people or where somebody needs help, they call on a woman. That's why they name me. So you call on me, so I'll come and talk for you.
I know, that was nice of you. We're all glad you came.
I'll tell you a story. A long time ago, when the Braves go off to attack in another tribe, then they bring their horses. They, I suppose, steal their horses and bring the horses back to their tribe or to their families. And this Indian warrior would have a sister. It might be this song is for an older sister. And when this young man brings a horse, he'd sing a song. And I'll sing it for you. Tankena payo, tankena payo, shukawa kaawa kupe tankena panoya kayo yaho iaheyo. I mean, my sister come out, I'm bringing some horses. Come out and see. Sorry, that's...
It's nicer when you say it in Indian. In Sioux.
Then I'll tell you an Indian story. That's just like you tell stories. So this must be a fairy story in the English way, but this is a nighttime story that the Indians tell to their children. There was a Spider-Man. You know what the spiders are? Well, the Spider-Man was going with a bag on his back. He was going, and here there was some ducks, a group of ducks on the ground, sunning themselves. And they saw this Spider-Man going. So one of them said, "Hey, let's call the Spider-Man over here and see what he's got in his bag." So they called him. Says, "Spider-Man." He didn't want to look. He was just going. And one of the ducks said, "Call him brother." That's the only way he's going to look over here. So one of them called, "Hey, brother." And right away he turned. He said, "What do you want?" He said. "What's that on your back, in your bag?" "Oh, those are just some songs that I'm going to sing over there." He said, "I'm going to a place where I'm going to sing." He said. And one of the ducks said, "Brother, come and sing for us. So the Spider-Man kind of hesitated. I'm in a hurry, he said. Well, just come and sing for us. So he came. All right, he said. He came. And he started. Well, he said, all of you have to close your eyes when you're dancing. If anyone opens their eyes are going to be red. So he started singing a song. He sang that, if one of you open your eyes will be red. And he sang that song. And, at the end was, now they call that mud hen. She opened her eyes and looked, and here Spider-Man was killing all the ducks as he was singing. He killed all the ducks. And this mud hen said, hey, open your eyes, the Spider-Man is killing some of us, she said. So they all opened their eyes, and here he had several of them killed. He put it in his bag. He went on, and all the ducks flew away. And that's how come this mud hen has red eyes, they said, if you ever see one. And this, the Spider-Man was going, and he made a big fire, and then he put all those ducks to roast on there. Just then, two branches were squeaking. The wind was squeaking, so he looked up and said, oh, brothers, don't do that. You're hurting each other. And it was squeaking. Well, he said, I'd go up there and stop them fighting, he said. So he climbed up the tree, and where the branches were squeaking, he put his foot in there. Then the wind stopped, so he was caught up there. Just then, Foxy Fox came along. He didn't know there was something roasting there. He was going. And Spider-Man called, hey, Foxy Fox, I have some roast there. Don't eat them up, he said. What? He said. I have some roast there. Don't come near it, he said. So this Foxy Fox started to sniff around, and here he smelled what was roasting. He went over there. He ate it all up and took the feet down and stuck them in the fire, in the ashes. Just then then this fox went away. Just then the wind started to blow, so these branches start to come apart. So Spider-Man came down. Oh, and he looked at it. Oh, he didn't eat anything, he said. He started to pull the legs up, and there's just the feet in there. That's one of the stories I learned from when I was young.
Was there a special marriage ceremony when you were married? I suppose you were married on the reservation.
Yeah, I was married on a reservation, but by that time, some of them put on church programs. And there was that Roman Catholic church, and Episcopal church, and a Congregational church. Those were the only three churches that the government allowed on the Standing Rock Reservation. So anybody wants to get married by the church, they go to their church. By the time I was married, I went to the courthouse. Because my husband was a Roman Catholic, and I was an Episcopalian. Yeah. But now both of us are Seventh-day Adventists. They started, but the ministers didn't come. So we go to Bismarck, North Dakota, to go to church. It's 50 miles north of our reservation.
Do you go just by yourself, or do you have friends?
No, we go by ourselves because the rest don't believe in that. to keep Sunday holy, so.
Yeah.
What you would want, what your people would like to have. What would you ask for? What would you want? What if they tried now to give you the kind of advice you want, or let you do what you want as you wanted it?
Well, in 1934, I think it was, they put out a program they called New Deal. And then from there on, we live the way we want to. They call that New Deal. And, now among the white people, they call it civil rights, I guess. And that's what. So with me, I hardly don't hardly depend too much on the government, because I never go there and bother them. Try to ask them to help me, especially with my husband. He doesn't like to owe people or owe at a certain place, like borrowing money from the government. We don't do that. We try to get along the best we can with what little education we have. So we have no debts in the Bureau of Indian Affairs or the tribal. So now we live the way we want to. We go off the reservation, just like me. I go any place I want to. Especially every year I come to Michigan. And that's where you get me in here.
Are songs very important in your culture?
Yes, there are certain songs for every ceremony. So they mean a lot to us. It's a flag song, or a memorial song, or anybody that do a good deed, they make a song for them. And we all dance. Yeah.
I wonder if how is the engagement between the man and woman? Like, if is it they just what kind of proposal they starting before they going to engage each other, the men and women?
Well, at different generations, like my grandfather's time, they didn't choose their mates. The parent chooses them. They have to accept it. They take property, like horse, so many horses, 2 horses, or then they go and ask for this girl. And the parent gave it to this man that asked for it. But as generation come, it kind of died out, and like my husband and I, we love each other, so we got married.
Originally, why did the parents why did the parents do the choosing? Why weren't the children allowed to choose their mate originally in the beginning?
Well, I'll tell you, in those days they obeyed their parents. They have a lot of respect for their older people, especially their parents. And especially their grandparents. They take their word. So that's how come.
So they were relying on the elders' wisdom.
Yes. Mm. In those days they did. but later on, what you'd call civilization, or I don't see it.
Does your grandchildren, can they all speak the Sioux language fluently?
No, no, it's the parents' fault.
It hasn't been passed down?
Yeah, the parents talk Indian, and still, as they grow up, they talk English to them. And we keep telling them not to talk Indian, talk their language, so they could talk two languages. But of course, most of them talk English all the time.
They don't have any special classes in the schools to teach them?
Right now, about 3 years now, they're trying to get teachers that that know how to write in the Sioux language and speak the Sioux language. So now they're trying to. My daughter-in-law is teaching Lakota language in our community. First time they're looking for people like that, they came to me. I said, "You want to teach Indian?" So, I said, "No, I'm talking English now." So, they don't want us to talk Indian, so I'm talking English now. Why should I teach my Indians? See, I remember when they put the soap on our tongue not to talk Indian.
Where did the Indian names derive from? Is there a special way that they've chosen?
Yes. For instance, like my husband, his name is Fasthorse. In the beginning, it was his Swift Horse. But as the government enrollment came, they kind of shortened it and called him Fasthorse. Well, it's my husband's grandfather. He had one grandfather that they were camped in some place along the river, and they didn't have, their food was running out on them. So people of the lower class bring a stick that's painted red, and they come and put it in front of the teepee of that person, to get a buffalo for them. So several men, they went and hunt for buffaloes, and my husband's grandfather was one of them that killed several buffaloes for the Indians that asked him. So when they brought back these buffaloes, they said to him, "Your horse is swift," that they caught up to the buffaloes. So that's how come he was named his Swift Horse. But later on they put it as Fast Horse. And then there was another man from the same family. They had these sons, and they named one Holy Horse. "Your horse must be holy. You caught up with a buffalo." That's the way they're named, according to their deeds.
When were you given the name Lillian?
My baptism name, the English.
Other questions? No? Maybe you'd like to see some of the crafts that Lillian has done. She brought some things along. I'll look at your bag. Stand.
Well, you can come up, and this is a deer hide, deer skin. You can touch it, and this is deer sinew. You know where that comes from? Off the back of the deer, you know. We bead with this. We make threads out of that. And sew moccasins with that. And then, what was that? And this is a man's moccasin. I'm beading with sinew. This man wanted this design. He already is dancing now. He wanted to dance, and he wants just this design on his moccasin. He had other customs, you know, like headband and belt, same design on it.
Lillian, can you tell them about the kind of wood this is?
Oh yeah. And this here is we call that buffalo berry tree. That's a branch of it. And this, when we put the needle in there, it just sticks in there. It don't come out. If you use another kind of tree, they usually come out. You know, they don't stick in there. So this is the only kind we get. But the present generation don't use this anymore. My age, just the ones that we do beadwork. Most of them do loom work. I just finished a medallion, but I didn't bring it. And these are what she has on chokers for men or women. And now they're selling this. These are real bones. They're selling those for 35 cents a piece. And this silver ones some are 10 cents a piece, and in some stores it's about 7 cents a piece. And these shells are 5 cents a piece when I bought them. I don't know what they are now. And here's another choker. This is what we use at our arts and craft shop. That's a picture of Sitting Bull. He's got his hands like this, and children standing here. Our children are in our hands. I guess that's about all I brought. Oh, here's some more. This here, either man or woman could wear it. And these bones, these are 35 cents a piece, and these are 45 cents a piece. And the shell is $2.98. In some stores they're a little bit higher, but at the tribal arts and craft, the price is a little bit lower than other stores. Yeah, you can come up and see. Huh?
I think she'd like to see the bracelet that Edsel made, where it was woven on a loom.
Oh.
Right? Is that what you want to see?
No, I can't find it. Don't know where I put it. That's when we stretch as much as you can. Then we have some kind. Sometimes some of them use rope where they, tan it till it's dry. It takes a lot of time. In the old way, they used to have a scraper with some kind of a horn they use. I still have one at home. At the end, they put a metal in there, then they scrape that. They dry the hide first, and then they scrape that. I tried it and almost broke my back, so I quit and did the modern way.
Other questions? Janet, Lillian won't be with us. She's going back to North Dakota soon. Melting. She got a letter from her husband, or phone call.
Phone call. Uh-huh.
Snow is melting in North Dakota.
Warmer weather. So I said, I better go back there. I'm freezing over here. So.
Do they let anyone come on your reservation? Do they stop them, like white people, do they stop them and tell them they can only go certain places, or are they allowed to roam around?
No, they don't do that anymore.
No, I mean, the white people coming onto the reservation, they don't stop them either?
No. They can tour, just like we'll go touring any place. A reservation is a place